Welcome everybody, and thanks for taking the time to listen to our call today. My name is Thomas Vavrin, and I work with Bill on the merchant services end. And so, first of all, I wanted to just mention that there are some good things that are happening as a result of the outbreak that we're experiencing. So I don't want this to all be doom and gloom. But so from the credit card processing side of things, first and foremost, I think it's important for everyone to understand that processors are still willing to perform rate reviews. They're still willing to consider cost reductions and any other recommendations that are being made by util auditors. So, they haven't completely put the earmuffs on. They're still willing to listen to us, and we can still execute on some cost reductions. So I think that's important for everyone to remember. We do know that processors want to keep your business, and they know that all merchants are experiencing hardships. And some of the items that we're going to discuss below are really just things that those processors have to do in order to mitigate their risk. And so it's not that they're out to hurt merchants. It's really just they're also trying to protect their own business as well. Another really good thing that we're seeing is that the credit card the credit card brands, the Visa, MasterCards, Discovers, and American Expresses of the world, they've actually postponed increases to their interchange, brand fees, dues, and assessments. They've postponed those increases till later on in the year. So that is good for all merchants. So your interchange and your cost for processing, you shouldn't see an increase on that end. This is also a really good opportunity for you as a merchant to see how much your processor values your relationship, because how they treat you today in this time of hardship is going to be a real reflection on the type of relationship and how much they value you and your business going forward. We do know that when the dust settles, processors are going to be very hungry for business, and so this will be a good thing for merchants because if you're looking to make changes or looking to implement some cost reductions, we know that the timing will be very fortuitous for a lot of folks. Okay, so any questions on the good stuff that I mentioned?
No, I think that was pretty good, Thomas. Thank you.
Okay, well, good. So let's talk about the stuff that's not so good. We do know that processors may take this opportunity to actually increase your rates or also hide costs that could appear in your program. So it's going to be more important than ever for merchants or us as auditors to stay vigilant when we're looking at credit card processing statements. We are seeing merchants experience some very steep declines in their processing revenue. So as a result, this can trigger some things that your processor may do. And I want to go over these, and so pay attention to these. First of all, if you see a really steep decrease in processing fees, you might start to see some monthly minimums appear on your credit card processing statements. Those types of monthly minimums are going to be outlined in your agreement, but if you're not doing enough processing volume, your processor has some stipulations in their contract that allow them to charge monthly minimum fees. So be aware of those. Second, again, like I mentioned earlier, processors might use this opportunity to increase their revenue and increase your processing fees because we know that they're experiencing the pinch just like merchants are. Thirdly, we are seeing this, processors may begin to hold funds. So the reason they are holding funds is because they need to be able to cover things like refunds, fees from the previous month, and potential chargebacks that merchants might experience. Our hope is that processors return all these reserves in a timely and honest manner once those fees and chargebacks and refunds have been honored. But do be prepared that your processor may alert you that they are going to start holding funds. So make sure that your business is prepared for that. And we know that there are stipulations in the agreements that allow them to do these kinds of things. So just be aware of that. Another thing is that we are seeing processors shift from a monthly discounting model to a daily discounting model. And so what that means is a lot of merchants are used to paying their fees at the end of the month, or they're used to seeing those credit card processing costs get deducted at the very end of the month. And what we're seeing some processors do is switch from a monthly discounting model to a daily discounting model where they take their fees out of the funds before they deposit them in your bank account. This can kind of create a nightmare for reconciliations and those kinds of things for a lot of merchants, but just be prepared that we are seeing processors do these kinds of things. Let's see, lastly, merchants also may experience, I guess, an increase in or a decrease in funding. So, I'm sorry, an increase in the number of days that you get your funding. So, as a merchant, if you're used to seeing your funds get delivered in 1 to 2 days, there is a possibility that processors may delay the funding of those credit card processing sales. So just be aware of that. If you're used to 1 to 2 day funding, you may start to see 3 to 5 day funding or even further funding delays as well. Okay. So yeah, the next thing that I want to talk about is chargebacks. Processors do charge you for these chargebacks. So if you are seeing your customers increase their chargebacks, if they're disputing charges on their accounts, those kinds of things, just be aware of that this could increase your chargeback costs, and that you may not see the revenue from those sales if there is a dispute on those chargebacks. So just a couple things to mention there about chargebacks. Second to last item here is that if you're looking to either move your business to a new processor or open new accounts, just be aware that some processors are actually being more restrictive on the types of new accounts that they're willing to board. So this means that now may not be the best time to take your business out to bid or to start opening new merchant IDs, because processors are becoming more risk averse and they're not boarding as many customers as they used to before. And then finally, the last thing that I do want to talk about has to do with keeping credit card information safe and secure. And this has to do with PCI or payment card industry compliance. So when you as a merchant start to move towards a more remote model where you've got folks working from home, just be sure that you continue to handle information safely and securely. We are seeing increases in credit card breaches, and cybersecurity experts are also warning of increased cyber attacks and cyber threats. So stay vigilant, make sure that your remote folks are handling information safely and securely, and that they have safe networks as well. So I think that's all I have. Joe, if there's anything that you want to jump in and add as well, I think that's about all that I had. So Bill, I'll toss the time back over to you.